Hello and welcome to another episode of Software Should Be Free with your host Tim Abel, software developer, contractor, dad. We haven't got David today, he's feeling a bit under the weather and there's been a bit of a break on the show because I've been off on holiday, which is not entirely relaxing because I have small children. So a quick update from me. The side project stuff's taking a little bit of a back seat. For a couple of reasons. Schema Explorer hasn't hit the traction that it really needed to be a viable business in its current form, so I open sourced that, which means for the moment at least I'm not going to put any more serious work into it. A little bit of contact from users, which is nice. People are picking it up now because it's open source, which is great, but until I figure out like a decent funding model for it, I probably won't be doing much in the way of bug fixes and features unless I can I just feel like doing it for fun, or I can figure out funding. One little thing that's worth mentioning on that, I couldn't build a SQLite driver for Mac for that one. It's technically possible, but it's a C library, and I'm on Linux, so it would have to be cross-compiled for Mac, which Golang does a great job of. I can get it to work. And I had a teacher in Germany, an ex-programmer, wanted to use it with SQLite on Mac, and with a bit of guidance, he managed to compile it himself. No cross-compiling needed because he was compiling on a Mac, and it worked, which is very cool. Very pleased about that. So the thing that I wanted to do today is introduce a show that David has started putting together. It's called just5mins, and you can find it currently at just5mins.transistor.fm. And I'm going to play you the first episode, which is a really great little insight into Blazor, which is a new technology in the .NET land. So I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you for the next episode. Do let me know that you've heard this, Twitter or email or whatever your favourite social or anti-social thing is. So take it away, David.
Hello and welcome to the very first Just 5 Mins podcast, where we have a look at just 5 mins of whatever's cool in the technology world. So in this one, the very first one, we're going to be talking about Blazor. Yes, this is to do with WebAssembly, which is a standard that's in most of the common browsers these days. It's been around for a while, actually. And something called Razor, which, if you're not in the .NET world, this is a templating engine that's been around again for a long time. Was originally, I believe, in ASP.NET MVC as the view bit of that. So it's a templating engine which is very powerful, actually. I quite enjoyed using it, but ironically I haven't used it in a long time until recently. So Blazor basically is just a bit of an intro to that. I'll put some links below because there's so much to go into, obviously, that we can't cover in 5 minutes. But I believe, and I hope I'm correct, but certainly a guy called Steve Sanderson, who actually created Knockout.js, which was also brilliant at the time, before Angular and Vue and things like that. And I believe he started to play around with a demo that was based on Mono, which was an open source version of .NET at the time. Now it's all .NET Core, which of course is fully open source across Mac, PC, Linux, and ultimately he had a little bit of a play around and realised you can actually get compiled .NET code to actually run in the browser with WebAssembly, and it sort of went on from there, really, I suppose. And what really became, when I looked at it, I thought, well, okay, this looks cool. Yes, you can write .NET code, albeit a subset, in and run in the browser. And the first thing that really came to me was, isn't this a bit like Silverlight or Flash or plugins and things like that? But that's the one key thing. It's not a plugin per se. It is actually sort of built into the browsers, as you were. So again, I'll put a link in there about what support for browsers is there, but it's certainly the most common browsers, and actually quite a few versions of them that go back a little while. So but anyway, when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, it looks good. But recently, as it's moved on, they've actually done quite a big improvement in the last year, I think, anyway. Up to the point now, as of the time of this recording, I believe it's .NET Core 3 Preview 7, I think. You do need a preview version, ideally of 2019 Visual Studio, which you can get a community version free anyway. But you can also just work from the command line as well, But you do need .NET Core 3 Preview 7 for what I'm about to discuss anyway. There are previous versions, but one of them that really stands out for me is, I think they call it the full stack Blazor, which really is a template, I suppose, a Visual Studio template. You can use it in Visual Studio Code, you can just use it from the command line. I use it in Visual Studio because that's what I'm used to. But ultimately, what that gives you is the Blazor client, and basically what that is, it's using this Razor templating, which I mentioned earlier. Okay, so you've got a templating engine you can create. It's all components. Again, I'll put some links because there's a great talk, obviously by Steve Sanderson, who is credited to getting this going in the first place, I believe. But also, I think there's Dan Roth, I think it is. But I'll include the links anyway. But it's essentially the client side is the Blazor client, which runs, again, is the the WebAssembly part, and then it's obviously got a back end, which is the full stack part, which is really just the .NET Core Web API, and then there's a shared sort of project as well where you can share models and other bits and pieces. But it's really cool, and one of the main things I found was working with Angular for a while is all the sort of files and everything. I still love Angular, I'll still continue to use it, but I was really impressed by the simplicity, especially by using things like some of the Sync Fusion components or DevExpress or Telerik components that are already there for Blazor. They're in beta, but they're the way that you wire them up compared to, say, something like Angular, etc., for a front-end development environment is so much easier, I think. So it's really worth having a look at. I've just noticed we've certainly gone past the 5 minutes, but hey, it's the first show, so I can get away with that. But certainly, even if you're not a .NET person, it is open source. You can check it out. As I say, I'll have some links in the show notes below. But hopefully that's from my perspective, it's quite an exciting technology, and certainly the WebAssembly isn't limited to a Microsoft thing or .NET thing. If you go to the webassembly.org, I think it is, you'll see lots of examples in lots of different languages. But the fact is, it can run compiled code in the browser in a sandbox environment. Pretty cool. Okay, until next time, that's it, folks.